All right, so what I'm doing here is simply looking at the Excel Lab 3, choosing stocks with confidence. So if you notice, I'm in the week 6 module, and I'm clicking on the confidence interval. Okay, so here you have the assignment. I ask you to please look at the different pieces of rubric. Yes, we focus on the Excel file first, and so if you're using Excel and you're following the directions that I'm giving you, you should be great. And then as far as the accuracy of the data analysis, part of that is written, but part of it is in Excel. So I'm looking for that too. Are you using the right test? Are you using all of the information for the purpose of analysis? And the written part, a lot of you, this is where some of you are suffering. You need to understand, you're not just doing Excel files. You need to write about the Excel file. Look at the rubric here. It's very easy to understand. I'm asking you to use the information, to justify it, to reason through the information. Just presenting the information or just briefly talking about it is not going to get you points, and that's a whopping third of the assignment. So as I walk you through this recording, what I want to focus on is this Excel sheet lab that's here. And so, yes, they give you 2 Excel sheets or 2 data components to use. Then data sets. Then they ask you to create a 95% confidence interval to determine which is better. And then they ask you to find a third data sheet. And so in other words, look up another mutual fund somewhere. So they're looking at these 2 funds. They're looking at Fidelity, and they're looking at Select Automotive Fund and Fidelity Gold Fund. So you're going to go and literally Google information on funds and download some data just similar to this one. If you look at the data set, they're only looking at about 20, I would think. 20 of these components. And so I believe I've already popped this into Excel. So let me open up my Excel sheet here. And yes, it's asking you for a confidence interval, but that's not all you want to look at. You want to look at everything. All of the summary data. You want to look at trends that look interesting. And so there's my Excel sheet with all the data, and that's what you're going to do. Okay, and we're going to run everything that we can to make a decision about these 2 funds. So notice that they're looking at the funds from years 2001 to 2016. So you need to find somewhere online, I don't know where, that's up to you. You could even look at a magazine and find a third fund of some sort that you find. Okay, I love how that's spelled T fund. Oh, that's interesting. Let's call it a T fund. Why not? That can be anything you find and research, right? And so you're looking for the annual return for 2 Fidelity Mutual Fund. Well, actually, you're going to look for just one. Annual return for 1 Fidelity Mutual Fund. That'll be the one that you find. And you're going to place here. Because eventually we're going to check this out. Actually, there's a tab on your Excel. And you'll put your new fund information here. Alright, so what I'm going to show you with the first mutual fund is what you're going to do with the gold, and you're going to do this in the report. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to data, and I'm going to go to data analysis. I am simply going to go to descriptive statistics, hit OK. I'm going to do automotive, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to my output range. I want summary statistics, and I want the confidence level for the mean. Over here, my output range, I just want it right here in the F6, and hit OK. Here's all the information you need. So let me just pop this open just a little bit. So as far as a confidence interval goes, you see here they're giving you the margin of error. If I find the mean, I'm going to take equals the mean plus and minus this number. So that's my lower confidence interval. Equals the mean plus the confidence interval. Well, that's my upper. That is a huge swing for a confidence interval. Remember, this is the lower confidence level. This is the upper confidence level. So this mutual fund, as you can see, can gain you tremendous returns at a return of 35.58, but it also can drop tremendously. If you notice, in 2009, you have the highest of all the values. So that's your max. Notice the max is discussed here. So you're going to discuss this. It does dip down into the negatives. It's your lowest at negative 61.2 of that. That's obviously a loss, a tremendous loss. If you notice the range is pretty intense. That's a pretty wide swing as far as the values. There's your standard deviation, your median. The median is always good to use when you have extremes such as this. If you want to even go further, you could actually go to insert. Now let's do a box and whisker plot for this data. Remember, you can always adjust the chart data, the data titles. So you're going to change this to automotive as an example. All right, and if you want to enhance this, which I recommend, I would go to axes. I believe it's axes. If you go to more options, let's see. Maybe, I think it's number? No. It's data labels. I think data labels. Data labels are very helpful for this. So there you are. You can see you have an outlier, 122.28, not the norm. If I were recommending this to someone, I would say this is probably an aggressive model, an aggressive growth. I say that because it's very tumultuous if you look at the values. So column 1 is all about automotive. If you notice, it says column 1. I don't even like that. I like this to say automotive. So I'm going to change that label. You want to discuss these values. Remember the skew, the kurtosis. Remember the sample variance. You can use that for calculations. This isn't really something you discuss. But the standard deviation, the standard error, all of that is important. You want to discuss that as well. And now, once you have this, you want to compare it to gold. So you're going to do gold. You're going to find that extra fund and do the same thing. And so you're going to end up with 3 similar data pieces. You know, you could do a side-by-side. FYI, you could do a side-by-side box and whisker, which I recommend here. So if you grab this, you can do a side-by-side box and whisker. And you can even add the data labels. So if I add the data labels, that's helpful. So I'm looking at this box and whisker comparison, and I'm now going to hope that once you draw your descriptive statistics for gold, you can have a conversation about comparing the means, comparing the medians, comparing the highs and lows, and which is a better fit. Which one appears more normal, which one appears more left skew versus right skew. This one does tend to appear a little bit more on the left skew. This one is a little bit more normal. Your choice how you describe this, using your data, your knowledge. What else would you say? Keep in mind this is money. When we talk about mutual funds, this is money. So when you discuss this, think in reference to what are you willing to spend your money on. Say hypothetical example, you had $1,000 or even $10,000 and you wanted to invest that money. Which one of these would you consider putting that money into for the purpose of possibly getting gains? Where's your risk? So think about that. So you have aggressive growth funds, you have conservative growth funds. There's a variety of choices you have. And so it depends. Where are you willing to put your money? All right. So anyway, what else? So again, I showed you how to do the confidence interval for that. You could also, you would need your mean, the standard deviation, you would also need your sample size if you wanted to throw this into one of the calculators just for experimentation. So if I went to my calculator, and given this is a sample of mutual funds, this isn't all of the mutual funds. Where's the calculator? Here you go. So you're going to go, in this case, you're going to go to Stat. You would go to Calculator. And we want a confidence interval for, it looks like in this case, a T, because it's the sample. So you notice you could also use the stats themselves. So if you go to number 8, you can actually put in the data instead of the mean. But in our case, we have the mean, we have a standard deviation, our sample size is 16, I'm sorry. The mean is 14.3525. So I'm going to input 14.3525. It looks like the standard deviation is 39.84. And here's a thing. We don't like to round standard deviation, so I am going to round it though, just for the sake of 38 point. I'm sorry, 39.84. Wow, 39.84. And our sample size is 16. So I'm going to go ahead and calculate that, and that's another way you could approach this. Notice again we have similar numbers. All right, with that said, that's pretty much all you have to do, and just write about it. Look at the statistics, look at the data that's there, look at the trends, and that's all you got to do.